be a second here. All right. Hey, everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ and Friends. Today is the fourth Monday of the month, which means it's time for Goodbye Lupus with Dr. Brooke Goldner. We'll be answering some of the questions you sent in, as well as talking about the topic, which is why you shouldn't wait until New Year's to make your resolutions. Please welcome back Dr. Brooke Goldner. I hear you have some exciting news to share, some
Hey.
really good press.
Yeah. So, let me just see here. Yeah, we just got my husband and I got featured in People magazine over the weekend. It just came out live, so it was kind of weird to see myself in the news app on my phone.
That's really cool. Is it something you can share with us? Like,
Yeah. Hold on, let me pull it up. So I have a link to it on my website here. I'll do screen share. And it's been really cool because they didn't dive into the nutrition aspect at all. They just talked about it like miracle love story. And so people started sharing their testimonies in the comments under the article. So that's made it even more fun and exciting for the world, right? Because then I'm not just a mutant, but someone who's making a difference. So let me see here. So that's my website. So here we go. If I should click this, there we are.
oh my God,
So
that's awesome.
how cool is that, right? And so it tells my story. They're in medical school. Look at how young we are. That was before we got married. Oh, to be 28 again. And then there's us now. That was on our wedding day. Youth. That was actually the day before we got married. So yeah, it was it's pretty exciting. But what I love, as I was mentioning in the comments, people are posting their testimony. So you see this person didn't have lupus, but GFR, which is kidney function, went from 38 to 68, never paid her a cent. Um, and people talking about like how it's all because of my diet and how I care about people. And so this has been my favorite part actually, is actually just reading about all these people who are better, eczema, lupus, blood clots, all in remission. So that's been like, I've been having fun just reading people's comments about their own recoveries, many of whom I've never met just by following my free content online and my classes, which are free online right now and all that stuff. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So there we are, real people, human interest story. We're really excited about that.
Well, congratulations. Yes, please give us the link so that people can read it in its entirety. How did they find you?
What's that?
How did they find you?
Someone from People was at an event that talking to someone who knew me, and they were telling me my story, and then they thought that was cool, and they got in touch, and here they are.
Well, good for you. I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, it was really neat. So they interviewed Thomas and me together, and you never know when you get interviewed by something if they're ever gonna, like, one time Women's World interviewed me and just never came out. So sometimes the editors will go, eh. So this was really cool. I was just waiting to see if it was going to be published. So it was pretty exciting. But like I said, I'm even more excited reading the comments.
Yeah, that is so cool. Well, congratulations. So
Thank
what have you
you.
got planned for the holidays?
Spending time with friends. We're going to be seeing friends we haven't seen in a while, and looking forward to that.
That's nice.
How
So
about you?
I'm good. I don't mind the holidays. I don't love them, but I just don't like that they're all so close together.
Too much celebrating at one time?
I wish they could be spaced out. We have first, I think of it starting with Halloween, even though that's not a holiday. But what I mean is in terms of when the crap gets presented to us, the unhealthier food. It's available all year round, but it seems like it gets more prevalent starting at Halloween, and it just gets worse and worse and worse.
Oh, well, you're looking at the wrong part of the holiday. It's not about
Okay.
the crap. It's about the time with people and the joy. Hey, Jay. I'm just happy my son is off, so we get to hang out with him. And
Yeah. I
yeah,
just love the
celebrate
way
with
you
him.
look at life. You remind me of, did you ever see the movie A Beautiful Life with Roberto Benigni?
I believe I saw it as a kid.
Well, he won the Oscar for Best Actor, and I remember it was memorable because he was jumping on the chairs. He was so excited. But it was a comedy in a concentration camp.
Mm-hmm.
You just remind you remind that's your essence is that movie.
This comedy in a concentration camp. Uh, Yeah,
I
I
don't do
actually
that. Like,
relate to it.
I want you to take my comedy class with me. Will you do that for me next year?
I don't know. I don't know about that.
It's going to
More
be
classes. Hmm?
four. It's going to be 4 to 5:30 Fridays. It's a special one I'm doing just with friends. It's like private. It's not going to. It's and you're going to know some of the people because doctors are in there.
Maybe.
All right. You'd be so good. You're just a natural.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Fridays I always look forward to because when I get done, then my son's done, and
Yeah.
it's like time
Well,
for
he'd
adult
be
now.
great too. Why don't you take it together?
I'll ask him about that. What's funny is someone came by recently, not recently. He was like 2 years ago. This guy was going across the country interviewing people who have stories about being like plant-based and healing, all that kind of stuff. And he just contacted us that he's finally ready to start, editing and publishing his videos. And he sent me mine, and that's fine. And then he showed me Solomon's, and it's not, it had been 2 years for a kid his age. He was a little boy when they interviewed him, and his voice hadn't even changed yet now. And then now he's this, about to be 16-year-old. You can't say you just filmed that. That's got to be like a throwback Thursday now, because
Is he still a Rubik's Cube champion?
he hasn't been competing this year because he's been really focused on school. He's going to a new school, and he's gotten very serious about his goals for college and everything. So he hasn't been doing competitions this year. But he
Oh,
does show actually in that video, he shows his cubing. But yeah, not recently. He's been, like I said, he's been very, very focused.
I've never been able to figure one of those out my entire life. I don't know how anybody does that or a Sudoku.
It's apparently mathematical algorithms, as he says, and that makes me not want to learn it.
Yeah. I mean, I have enough trouble with a jigsaw puzzle when it's more than 300 pieces. So,
He was solving thousand piece puzzles, or not thousand. When he was 3, we would give him 100-piece puzzles, and he would put them together right away. He's been solving puzzles since he was a baby. Even when he was 1, he would take everything in the room and build something or do something. Like, he's always been. I've always said that he sees the world by putting it together. Like, he sees patterns and is able to put things together. He's a brilliant kid. But yeah, for him, that's exciting. Like, oh, it's an algorithm. Like, ooh, that sounds awful.
well,
Painful. Sounds
of
painful.
course, he's a brilliant kid. Look at who his parents
I got an
are.
algorithm. Oy.
I was saying, of course, he's a brilliant kid. Look at who his parents are. But yeah,
So he's got the best of both of us. He's outshines us by far.
that is quite a skill. So, people make New Year's resolutions. Do they stick? Is there a point to do it? And if they're going to do it, shouldn't they just do it now?
Well, so many questions right out the. Well, should they do it? I think yes. I think it's always nice to take time to reflect. And what better time to take than at the end of the year, when you're kind of taking stock of what happened, right? That's kind of nice. Like, we're completing a revolution around the sun. Look back, see where we were. How did we get here? Where do we want to go? So I do think it's nice to take stock if you don't do it on a regular basis. I think that's a nice thing to do. The thing to understand about resolutions is they aren't things that you just make once and then it's done, right? I resolve this and then it's done. No, resolutions are things that then need to be put into play. I actually made a video about this. It was on one of my Wellness Wednesdays. So you know how I do lives every Wednesday. So it's one of my mitzvahs or good deeds for the public. We do it every Wednesday live. And there was one where I just really wanted to get into the teaching of why it's so difficult to create a new habit. Okay, I found it. Maybe I can include this one for the links for you today. It's called The Neuroscience of Creating a New Habit. And so that's my background, is in neuroscience, brain science. And when you are trying to do something new, you're using a different part of your brain than when you're doing something that's an old habit. And so in that video, I get into the details of that, of how the different parts of the brain work. But the short version of it is, it takes a lot of repetition to take something from being new and novel, which takes a lot of focus, right? If you're doing something for the first time, so think of the first time you rode a bike, or the first time you drove a car, the first time you do anything that requires some skill, it takes all of your attention, right? It's emotional, it's exciting, but also nerve-wracking, and a lot of attention. And so it also can be kind of tiring, because I had to pay so much attention to that, right? But if you continue to do it, then eventually it becomes a habit where you don't really have to put much attention into it at all. Driving might be a bad example because some people have gotten too confident where they're looking at their phones and they're drinking a drink, they're using their knee to steer. But the point is, we get to a point where our brain kind of incorporates that new skill and we don't think about it. When you're talking about diet, I teach this a lot, that when people are trying to change their diet to, let's say, become plant-based or to hyper-nourish, in the beginning, it's what am I going to buy and how am I going to make it and what am I going to prep and am I going to like it? There's a party. What am I going to bring? There's a lot of brain chatter and it takes a whole lot of focus. But then at some point, it just becomes what you do, right? I don't think about my food anymore. I'm sure you don't do that, or you wake up and I load the blender and make the blender, right? I made this today without thinking at all. I was thinking about something else, and then boom, there's a blender full of stuff, right? That eventually just becomes this habit. And there's no attention required. So how does that relate to New Year's? Well, usually when people are making a resolution, it's something new. And when people make these resolutions and don't work on this other part of it, the turning into a habit piece, what happens is the new motivation, that new desire to do something, on average lasts about 2 weeks. About 2 weeks. So when you think about that, I don't know if you've ever belonged to a gym. I like going to gyms and boot camps and stuff because I love the social aspect. And I highly recommend that for people who are starting a new habit, is do something that's social where there's other people. It'll help you show up. It'll help you, stick with it. But typically for New Year's resolutions, there's actually been studies done on this. 43% of people fail before February. So almost half the people who've made a resolution are already out before February, and 1 in 4 quit in the first week of setting their resolution. That's according to research. 1 in 4 quit in the first week. Most people quit before the end of January, and only 9% see it through to the end of the year. 9. So is it important to make them? Yes. Keeping them, though, is a whole nother thing. And, that's why I created things like I have rapid recovery programs. Like I have a 6-week rapid recovery group where people work with me every day for 6 weeks. And one of the biggest things that provides, besides me making sure everyone's doing it correctly and me working on their emotional health, making sure trauma's not getting in their way or self-sabotage or poor sleep, but also what I'm doing is keeping them accountable. They know every single day I'm going to look at what they ate, literally look at it. They need to show it to me. And so that accountability gives an external reason to continue on, right? It's like, oh, it's not just, do I feel like it today? Dr. G is going to be checking on me and seeing. So accountability, big way that keeps people going. So what a lot of people need to do is when they set that resolution, figure out how you're going to keep it. And most people don't do that part. They just go, I'm going to work out this year. And, 91% of them stop. Right. So what are you going to do to stay accountable? How are you going to make sure that you show up every day until it becomes a habit? And then when it becomes a habit, then that accountability won't be important anymore. That's a lot. Like when we graduate people from my 6 weeks, that's the most important thing I look for is people who go, gosh, this is so easy. I don't know what I was thinking. I could do this forever. And I'm like, you're ready. Fly free. You've done it. Right. So that's a really important thing, that people find a way to get the support they need to turn that resolution into really a transformation in their life. Now, the other question you asked is, isn't it better to do it today? Of course. Of course. I always say that, in my talks, I'm like, don't wait till New Year's. New Year's is coming pretty soon, though. So if you need that time to kind of clean out your fridge, clean out your pantry, do what you need to do to get yourself set up and accountable, then all right, New Year's is reasonable when it's in December. But if someone's watching this as a replay, it's always perfect to just say now. I even recommend people don't wait till tomorrow. Say, you know what? Now. I'm just done now with my old thing and I'm going to start this moment. And again, figure out how you're going to keep yourself accountable so that you can have the help you need to turn it into a habit. And then that's the most important thing. Once it's a habit, it won't be so hard anymore.
I always wondered how it helped if you're trying to break a habit, or especially an addictive one, to like have one more cigarette or one more drink or one more cookie. If you've decided you're going to do it, like, how does that help?
Yeah, it's a trick from the brain. So the addicted brain, so this is a slightly different topic on neuroscience besides how you form a new habit is overcoming addiction. And so the addictive brain is always going to look for ways to get you to go back to the addiction. And it always appears logical on the surface, right? That's when people say, like, I'll stop smoking when I finish the pack. No, throw it away. Throw it away right now. Let's go to the trash. Get rid of it, right? That's the part of the brain that's trying to put off getting rid of the addiction. One more day, one more time. What about Christmas? What about birthdays? And actually, Wellness Wednesday, this last Wednesday, I was talking about the dieter mentality, why a lot of people fail, both at resolutions, but even changing the way they eat or live their lives, is their brains considering it like a diet, that this is temporary. And at some point, I'm going to break it. And so it looks for every excuse, like, how about Christmas? How about New Year's? How about birthdays? How about bad days, right? That there's always something that seems like a good enough excuse, and then they end up giving in, and then the addictions take over again, and then they feel like failures. And it's, that's the difference between going on a diet versus making a change in your lifestyle where you say never again. And when people do that, it actually makes it a relief. It's easy. And if you're really looking to transform your life, you're going to say never again. And that always means starting right now. There is no one more. It's never again. That's bad. And I'm stopping. And everything's going in the trash. My grandmother got mad at me once because I went to see her, and I'm always in her fridge, and she got to past 99, and I was in her fridge, and I found some stuff that people had delivered, and it was just garbage. It was like, just frozen. It was from the temple, but it was like meat and frozen mac and cheese and all stuff, and I threw it in the dumpster, and she got so angry at me because she's a Holocaust survivor, and you do not throw away food. And I was like, this is not food, Grandma. I was like, this is not food. You can be mad at me, but whether it goes through you into the toilet or straight into the trash, it's going into the sewers, it's going into the trash. Don't let it go through your body first, please, for me. And I was willing to let her be mad at me, and I gave her a smoothie, and I would just joke with her and say, be a good girl, and she'd laugh and drink her smoothie. And, so it's just one of those things that if it's bad, it's bad, and we got to get rid of it. Now, I don't want people getting mad at me about the throwing out food thing. Not everybody can, but some things to me are food, and some things are poison. And when it comes to the people I love, and people, I basically love all people, I don't want you having poison. If you have a choice, if you have the ability to eat better, choose that, because that's how you choose yourself and your life. And that means something to the people who love you.
Nice. Thank you. Cool. What do you do New Year's Eve?
I get blackout drunk, and
Now that's going to be a clip now. See, now listen to what you just said. Somebody's going to take that, right? This is why you're going to be so great at improv.
People used to say that to me in medical school, that my backup career would be comedy. I don't get blackout drunk. No. New Year's this year, again, we're just going to be seeing friends. I love just spending time with people. It's not usually a big thing. I mean, back when I was younger, New Year's was always my favorite holiday, because I just love things that are about positive, happy things. That's just kind of what I gravitate to. And on New Year's, everyone's happy and looking forward to like a new beginning. Even if they had a terrible year, it's like, time of hope and joy and celebration. And I love that. So when I was younger, that was dancing and, being out celebrating with people. And now it's more kind of low key, usually hanging out with friends, hanging out with my son, stuff like that. Yeah. So I don't have anything super exciting planned, but, just being with people that make me smile and feel good.
All
Doing something fun for New Year's?
Yes, Alyssa from Raw Food Romance and her husband Nate, they're from Raw Food Romance. They're going to come and stay over for a couple of days, and we're going to go to an escape room.
I love those. We've talked about those before.
Yeah, so that's
man, those are fun.
For me. It's all about having fun. 2025 will be the year for fun.
Good. Stop delaying it. People forget that part. Everyone's so focused on all these things, like, what do I need to do? Almost like it's a struggle, like boot camp, in order to be healthy. And really, happiness is the key that unlocks so much for your life. And that's always the thing I try to remind people to do, is don't forget the happiness part. Don't forget to celebrate your days every day. because this might be the best day you've had ever again. What'd you do? How'd you spend it? You know? So I'm glad you're gonna be hanging out with good people, having fun.
Nice. All right. And then you start a new program in January. Is there any room left if people want to join?
Yep. So our 6-week rapid recovery group, we did take a break from Thanksgiving through now. So our next group starts January 24th. We are enrolling. We still have spots now, but they're limited. So usually our groups sell out about a week, sometimes 2 weeks before we start. But whenever it's New Year's, of course, that one people are like, new me, and that one usually sells out faster. But we do have spots right now. And I'm looking forward to it. Whenever I take a break from it, then I kind of miss it because it's just an extraordinary thing to actually see the folks coming in who are all just so sick and in pain, and then watching them every week as they continue to improve and graduate, a lot of them completely pain-free, often with negative labs. We had someone in our last group who's had, positive blood markers like ANA for years, negative by the end. People whose, kidney functions coming up, normalizing. We had someone who normalized her kidney and her thyroid by halfway through the group. The last one, I'm like, you're at a factory reset now, Ashwini, she let us share her celebration about that. So it's one of those things that I never thought I'd get to do as a physician, that I get to do as a wellness coach, is be with people every day and take them through a transformation in their health where they could go from sick to well. When I worked in hospitals, often it's like I'd get just days to a couple weeks and then see you again soon, because it just wasn't long enough to get them where they needed to be. So it is really, really cool and rewarding for us. And we're always excited to do it again. So yeah, January 24th would be the next big group.
And it goes for 6 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm. 6 weeks of listening to me every day.
Every day? You mean like even on weekends?
Yes. Yeah, we work every day. Every single person gets personal feedback every single day on what they ate, how they're feeling emotionally, anything we see that might need to be worked on in terms of their thinking and how they make decisions. So my husband and I do this work together. And we're even working with people on how they report what happened and what words they use, and we basically are downloading our positivity and way of seeing the world into them every single day, so that they can start seeing things in a new way and feeling empowered, not only to get better, but to make better choices in their lives. And so what happens is their health gets better, their relationships get better. We've had, husbands jump in and go, this is awesome. She's amazing. Like, she doesn't yell at me anymore. Just really cool how people in their lives see the transformations, not just in terms of I don't hurt anymore physically, but people have been joining the group even for depression and anxiety. They're willing to do this aggressive nutrition protocol just to also get the emotional work and benefits. So we pour ourselves into people, and it's every day for 6 weeks. Every day, every person who posts gets our support. And we have unlimited questions that they can ask every day. We do live Zoom coaching. So everyone who joins says the same thing. Like, I had no idea. Like, they thought like we'd just be saying, oh, did you eat on plan? Do you have any questions? And that's it. They didn't know we'd be just in their lives every day. And we've, really perfected our technique on how we can interact that way, even though it's through Facebook and Zoom and everything. We really, we have a whole system in place where we help each person individually in the group. It's awesome.
Are the live interactions like the same time every day?
So the live, the face-to-face stuff, like what we're doing right now, that's weekly as a group meeting, but everybody gets individual coaching if they want it. I do coaching for the whole group to get them really hopped up and excited for all the things, we celebrate everyone's wins. And then we dive into, okay, who has questions, who wants coaching, and we stay on as long as people need us, hours if they need us. We will coach every person who wants our help. And then on a daily basis, we're writing back and forth to them. So we're reviewing what they did. We're writing to them. They're writing back. They can ask extra questions. They can ask questions just to Thomas, just to me, back and forth. So all day long, we're writing back and forth to them. We spend, when we're in a group, it's all day long. We are in there and supporting people. And then we also have the live Zooms as well. So they get a ton of help individually, as well as having like the education is for the whole group, but then each person can interact with us personally as much as they need to too. So it's pretty awesome.
Well, I've heard nothing but good things about it. I have a friend that's going to be joining in January, and it sounds incredible.
Yeah, it's really the culmination of our life's work is taking the nutrition that, I'm 19 years lupus free. We've had people who are free of autoimmune diseases now for over a decade who've done our nutrition protocol, right? So we have that. And then all of the work I've done over my career for over 20 years in anxiety and depression and trauma resilience, all of that, in addition to our personal things. Like we talk to people about how we've worked through our own traumas and through our own stress, and we relate to them as people, and everything that we can think of that's going to help a person, we're going to use that. And my husband's incredible too. I mean, I don't know if you know that, like, not just is he an expert in the nutrition and exercise, but he was a personal development speaker who used to share the stage with Tony Robbins before the pandemic, speaking to thousands of people, helping them overcome. What he was teaching them is overcoming the mental blocks that get in people's way for business and financial success, that he calls it the success mindset. And it's the same exact things that get in people's way for health success, right? And emotional and success. It's, you have to be able to see the things that people do that sabotage themselves. And he's amazing at that. I've always said, and it's true, he's the only one who can call me out on my stuff. And I love that. It's the best feeling in the world when someone really sees you and can see when you get in your own way. And we can do that for each other too. So I love that we do it together.
Do the people in the group, do they like become friends and stay together forever?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. They stay friends. And we always give our cell phone numbers out to people in the group. And so they'll send us messages and let us know what they're doing. Or, it's always fun when someone who was bedbound when they came to see us sends us pictures and they're hiking, up a mountainside or through Europe and all of this stuff. So yeah, we have quite a community. And then we have our free Facebook community, Smoothie Shred, where, people who are in our groups also join there. And then they get to kind of be inspirations for other people who are struggling too. So yeah, we have a pretty big community there in Smoothie Shred.
Wow. I found your People magazine article, so I'll just put it in the show notes so you don't have to me. Well, you want to take a few questions from the viewers?
Sure.
Sure. Thank you. The first one's from Elizabeth, and she says, Dr. Goldner, I've been hyper-nourishing due to increased RA disease activity. I'm happy to report that my CRP is down from 14 to 0.6. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My question is, how and when may I back down on the smoothies? Should I continue to include them daily?
Okay, so let me just send this to you, AJ, and then here's the other link because I mentioned that neuroscience of habit thing. Okay, and what was the name of the person who asked the question?
Liz.
Liz. Hi, Liz. So first of all, congratulations on your amazing results. I love hearing that stuff. So you want to keep hypernourishment as a way of life. It's not like an antibiotic. You take it, and when the infection clears, you stop it. If hypernourishment gave the ability to reverse your illness and get your health back, you keep it. It's the antidote. So, I'm working on mine that I made today. And I haven't been sick. I've been lupus free for over 19 years. I still have my smoothies and my salads every day. I'm a high raw plant-based vegan eater. So I usually say, a pound of veggies a day, keep the doctor away, especially the cruciferous. If you just eat that pound a day, whether it's all in your smoothie that you finish by the end of the day, or you put half in a smoothie and have a big salad with your dinner, that's going to keep you in optimal health. So if you are in remission and doing well, you can add cooked plant-based items and continue to maintain your health. But I find that when people stop the smoothies and switch over to just cooked, they start to feel the energy drop. They're not quite as good. And then often they'll start introducing some of the old things, maybe inflammatory items, and it's kind of the slippery slope. I love keeping that antibody. See, now I've got antibiotics in my head. I like keeping the antidote in my bloodstream all the time. And it's great because it doesn't just keep you healthy, but it keeps you super energized. It's good for the brain. It's great for the skin. I just had somebody in my fitness boot camp. They had a little holiday party, and one of the ladies came over to me and said, how long have you been with your husband? And I said, well, we've been together over 20 years. And she goes, how? I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, I figure you guys are what, like 35? No. She goes, well, you look like you're at least 10 years younger than my husband and me. And I said, are you and your husband 45? She goes, no, we're 42. I said, well, you're going to hate this, but he's 48 and I'll be 48 in 2 months. And she's like, if I give you a piece of paper, will you just write down everything you do? Like, just, I will follow what you say. She's like, I heard you drink smoothies. Is it the smoothies? It is. It's the smoothies. I'm telling you that when you keep that high raw, especially the smoothies going into your system, you keep that beta carotene glow, and people can see it. Yeah, I mean, the vibrancy of your health is really apparent. So I highly, highly recommend you stick with it and celebrate and tell everyone you know how it got you healthy, because it's the coolest thing ever and it's so simple.
Nice. Well, you hear that a lot with other things like diet. Like, well, when can I stop the diet?
Mhm. I hear that all the time. So when can I add back chicken? I'm like, you don't. I said, that's the same as someone saying, well, the emphysema is better. When can I start smoking? You don't, right? Like, when you find out something's a poison, take it out. You'll have so much of a better life without it. And again, that's that diver mentality. As long as there's a part of you waiting for it to come back, you'll always be looking for that opportunity, and it's exhausting because your brain's always kind of focused on it. How about today? How about today? Once you've decided never, it's a relief. It just, that stress goes away.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. Here's another question about your protocol, and this is from Michelle. And she said that she wants to know if it's okay on your protocol to use a couple of these items. One is called organic green banana flour from Let's Do Organic, or sweet potato starch powder. Is it okay in any of your healing protocols to use some of these ingredients? Also wanting to know if raw organic rutabaga or turnips are okay.
So yes, to the rutabaga and turnips. The other stuff, see, it depends on what your goal is. If you're just trying to hypernourishment is a protocol where you're intentionally overdosing on the nutrients your body uses for cellular repair on a daily basis. So that's going to be that pound of cruciferous vegetables a day, the flax or chia seeds, at least a handful or more a day, water intake, 96 ounces or more a day, as long as you can handle it in terms of your kidney, your heart, that kind of stuff. But generally speaking, right, that's hypernourishment. Hypernourishment can be added to any diet. Now, so if in that case, yes, to the other stuff. They can also be added to, if you are healthy, a hyper-nourishing plant-based diet where you include cooked stuff, you'll be fine. If those things are not processed, don't have chemicals in them, that's fine. But if you're asking if it's fine on the Goodbye Lupus protocol, Goodbye Autoimmune Disease protocol, then no, because those are raw protocols where the only thing that you're consuming nutritionally are the nutrients that accelerate cellular repair and optimal immune function. And for some reason, we have found that when people eat even a little bit of cooked foods, they don't get that same rapidity of results that we see. And it's quite remarkable that when people focus on those ingredients, and of course you raise them, if that's all you're eating, you're not going to just eat a pound of greens a day, you're going to eat way more. But as you raise that amount and you stick to those foods, the body just drops into this amazing healing mode. So it's really neat. I just got a text message this morning from someone who showed me her kidney function in November. And she just got a set of labs, and it's exactly a month. It was November 20th to December 20th. And her kidney function went up 20 points, actually over 20 points, because it went to 70 to over 90. And she couldn't believe it. She goes, how can that happen in a month? But she's on the full Goodbye Autoimmune Disease protocol. It is really cool how that happens. And so, so what you decide to do just depends on what your goal is. If you're healthy and want to add hypernourishment, you probably can use those if they're not processed.
Perfect. Thank you. And Sue would like to know if your protocol could help with macular degeneration, either by reversing it or at least slowing it down.
Possible. I'm trying to think if I have someone with just that case. I like to speak to results. I can't think of a person specifically for macular degeneration, but for vision, for glaucoma, we've had multiple people reverse glaucoma in our group, usually by the end of the, let's see, my mid 70s guy, Bernard, he was week 5, had cleared his glaucoma. Someone else who got vision back from it, birdshot uveitis, many different eye diseases. So, so it is really good for the eyes. And if it can benefit, if your eyes are able to get better, then it will help. There's definitely been studies looking at how reducing inflammation and oxidative stress and providing more antioxidants, that you can improve eye health, and it can be beneficial even for things like macular degeneration. So there's definitely a lot of good reason and evidence to support doing it.
Great. Thank you. Gosh, some of these questions are like really, really long and they give a lot of medical history. So maybe they should take your program because then you can go over it with them.
Yeah, I can't provide medical care from here. So that's, yeah, without knowing a person, that'd be difficult to do.
Yeah, this is like really, really long. So I'm trying to encapsulate. Yeah, this is.
All right.
I'm just going to tell these people. It's just they're just too long, you know. And I mean, they really give very, very detailed medical histories. You know, the ones that I've just asked you are kind of like more general, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is fine. Let me go hop over. I haven't been looking on Instagram to see if there's any questions over there. Here's one. This is a nice general one. Can you build muscle and do weightlifting while doing the hyper-nourishing protocol?
Of course. So again, hypernourishment is what you add to your diet, but you can do weightlifting and build strength on any of my protocols, including the raw ones. So Goodbye Lupus and Goodbye Autoimmune Disease protocols, both of those, you can absolutely build strength. We have a private rapid recovery as well, where you can work one-on-one with myself or my husband for 4 weeks. And a lot of times we have professional athletes, when they get sick, they work with him. And he recently worked with someone who's a professional rock climber, who, I mean, a professional. So, I mean, working out 5-6 hours a day, who then got lupus. And you can imagine, you know, who's going to get arthritis, somebody who has to do that kind of work. And she was exhausted and really struggling with training. And at the end of 4 weeks, entirely on raw food, she was actually able to beat her own personal records for speed and strength. And so, you know, these people are afraid that you don't get enough protein and you won't be able to get stronger, but you absolutely can. Cruciferous vegetables have protein, but we also have all the different components your body needs to repair damage quickly, so that you can get stronger and stronger every single day, because you don't even need time. You know, usually when people do a workout, they need 3-4 days for that soreness to go away before they can hit that muscle group again. But on our program, people can often work out the same muscle groups every day, because they don't get that same soreness, because they can repair damage so quickly. So you can get stronger on any of my programs. And it's always a good idea to do weightlifting, strength training. It's good for your bones. It's good for all of us to be able to fall down and get back up again. It's really, really important to our overall health to do that. So absolutely.
Okay. Here's an interesting comment or question from an Instagram viewer. Laura says, I found that high raw was really hard for me and I have cancer. I believe that it is the best way for me to completely heal, but for whatever reason, my body does not feel good on high raw.
So it's not enough information, right? Because when someone says they don't feel good, I don't know if you're saying that you have intestinal discomfort, in which case I got protocols for that. Because people come to me, some poop too much, some can't poop at all, some are too gassy, some are too bloated, some too this. So I know how to work through that. And a lot of times in my group, that's like the first 2 weeks of individual personalization, is managing people's guts as they get used to it. So it could be that you just need help getting your gut to adjust to it. And that's something that makes sense, right? When your gut is used to your current diet, when you change what goes in, it's just not used to it. It needs some time and some help. So if that's the case, so I don't know if you're talking about that or something else. I mean, oftentimes when people switch into a diet that is really anti-inflammatory, for real anti-inflammatory, like my protocols are, they actually feel worse in the first week or so. Some people call it detox, and other people get angry that detox is something your liver does, blah, 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 not scientific. But we can just call it that period where your body is adjusting, and people often, usually around day 3 to day 4, will suddenly feel more tired, more brain fog, more achy, sometimes rashy, flu-like, and it's actually part of the healing process. And then when they get through to the other side, suddenly they go, whoa, I'm really clear, and my energy is really building up quickly, and I feel really good, and wait, those aches and pains are going away. So I don't know which you mean or what's going on, because you just said you don't feel right. But what I've will say is that you're right. I do think that the evidence is most clear that eating the raw foods are going to be the most beneficial for you as you're fighting off your diagnosis and allowing your body to recover in addition to whatever treatments you're getting. So most of the time, if someone's very sick and we know they need to be on the raw protocol for the best benefits for their health, then I spend the time to then figure out how to get you there. So this question might really be one where you do need more personal help, whether it's making an appointment with me so I can help you just with a plan that you take with you. I know my appointments are very booked. Like I think last I checked, they were going into May. That's why rapid recovery is also something that people tend to do because you can jump in sooner. It's also a more aggressive program, which you probably need. But whether you see my husband or myself just to get a plan that you work on your own or something, so that we can just figure out why you're struggling to get to the right diet and then figure out how to problem solve it. But a lot of times when people say that, like, I don't feel as good, it's because they only gave it that first week or two. And they were stuck in that kind of whatever you want to call it, detox transition period where they were feeling kind of crummy and didn't give themselves enough time to get to the other side. Now that's different than people who are doing something wrong. Like sometimes people don't, they're drinking a lot of water and they don't have any salt and they're lightheaded or something like that. But, it's going to take some time for it to feel good, even if you're doing it right. I hope that helps. When I don't have a clear question, I have to kind of like look for all the possibilities and answer them.
Thanks. Do you get people with cancer in your group?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's actually been pretty incredible. I mean, we've had folks where visible tumors went away. I've had someone recently, he had prostate cancer and his PSA markers, they showed it for years, have gone up every single test. And then it got to a peak and then he joined our group and then shoom, straight down like someone smacked it off a cliff. We've had people come from many different cancers and also recovery from cancers so that, while they're getting whatever treatments they're getting, that they also know they're on nutrition that can optimize their ability to get health. And some people can't get treatment. Some people have already been treated, with chemo and things in the past. And then when it came back, their doctor said you can't. And so they need some other form of help. So even though nutrition is not considered a cancer treatment in our country, it's definitely something that supports and helps people through it.
So maybe like it's a good idea to optimize their immune system before they get some kind of treatment.
Yes, and during and after, we had a slew of people at once. I don't know who sent out a memo, but there was one rapid recovery group where we had a whole bunch of people who were post chemo, who came in to clear up the side effects. So they had neuropathies, and a lot of people finish chemotherapy. Their doctor says they're cancer free, and they feel like a shell of a human. Like they don't feel like themselves. They still have brain fog. They've got neuropathies, can't feel their feet, all this other stuff. And they're able to reverse that and come back to feeling like a normal person again. So again, my protocol is specific for cellular repair and optimal immune function. And so we have these parts of our immune system, right? There's the inflammatory part that's supposed to go out and seek out cancer cells, seek out bacteria, viruses, and kill them off, right? And then we have the anti-inflammatory immune system that's supposed to bring us back to a baseline of low inflammation and wellness. And most people are completely lacking that second part because it's built off of omega-3 fatty acids. And either they've ignored that intake, they're using the wrong thing, like using algae oil supplements that are dissolved in sunflower oil and totally negates it. Or they're eating fish that has, PCBs from the environment, or they're just eating so much omega-6 rich foods that their ratio is off and they don't have it. So that's one of the biggest issues that we've been able to address for people is they're missing that part of their immune system that brings them back to feeling normal. And so we've had folks who have had treatments like that who just use us to get back to feeling well again.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
You've gotten this question before, but it's a real short one to answer from a viewer. What's the best book to read to learn your protocol?
So to learn the Goodbye Lupus protocol about the nutrition, it's called Goodbye Lupus because it's my story, not because it's only good for lupus. It's just that's my story of becoming lupus-free. So that one tells my story of recovering from lupus after 12 years of illness and the foods that make you sick, the foods that make you better. All right, that's Goodbye Lupus. Goodbye Autoimmune Disease, it quickly summarizes the protocol but doesn't explain it. And that book is focused on the emotional, psychological, and environmental triggers that keep people sick. So for some people, nutrition is not the only thing, but they've got emotional stuff, traumas, poor sleep, poor boundaries, self-sabotage, all this other stuff. So that book is to help people who can't just look at a nutrition plan and get well, but need more help. And of course, dozens of case studies in reversing different diseases. I do recommend anyone who wants to do my protocol get my newest book, because Goodbye Lupus, Hello Delicious is all the recipes. And the recipes come from graduates of rapid recovery. So they've all been tested recipes used in disease reversal. And a lot of people posted their stories of recovery with their recipes. And right now that pushed Goodbye Lupus out of the bestseller spot it's been in since 2015. I took its spot, but that's okay. I pushed myself out of the way. But everybody loves it, and it's really, they're easy recipes and they're all focused on hypernourishment. So if it's, it's something you want to do and you just want the recipes, that's the one. I do want to mention too, if you're not a reader and you want to get the Goodbye Lupus protocol, my classes are online for free right now. So a few times a year, I put them up for free just to motivate people to take action, so that they're like, oh, limited, I got to go do it, right? So if you go to goodbyelupus.com and click on the classes, you'll see that they're available for free. And you can watch me teach the book Goodbye Lupus. And I teach my story, the foods that make you sick, the foods you need for recovery. And the last class is case studies in reversing different diseases. And it's really cool. It's always available for people to purchase for lifetime access, but right now people can watch it for free. So if you prefer that, we've had people who have reversed their diseases just from that class alone. They'll send me emails and say, I watched your class, I did everything you said, and look at this, my kidneys are back, or my lupus is gone, or my RA is gone. It's really neat. I had someone who reversed her MS and cleared the lesion off of her MRI, and she followed my classes and my free online content. It's the coolest thing.
Well, I watched them one time. They were free. They're fabulous. If you want to give me the link for that, I can put it in as well.
It's goodbyelupus.com. If you go there, right on the top, there's a banner, free classes. Click that and I'll take you right to the classes.
Sounds perfect. This question is from Jennifer, and she wanted to know what you do. She's done your protocol very strictly on her own for 7 weeks, but her iron levels dipped. Is there a way to keep iron levels up while on the protocol?
Iron levels should be fine on the protocol. So either there's something else that caused it. Sometimes people iron levels dip because their menstrual cycle was heavy or something else was going on. So I'd be investigating what it was. So if they really drop significantly, there's a good chance it's something else, and you should have that investigated. There should be plenty of iron in the food that you're eating. And the other is, I don't know how much. So sometimes this just happened to me. Somebody sent me a message saying like, this number got worse and it's still in the normal range. Like they're just upset that they moved within the normal range. And I'm like, no, if you're in normal range, you're normal range. So if your iron dropped, but it's not significant, it's still in the normal range, then there's nothing to do about it. That's totally fine. And I don't know that data, so I'm saying it that way. Sometimes people will watch numbers and get worried if they're moving, even if they're still, as far as clinically concerned, it's fine. So if it's a significant deviation, I'd be looking at other reasons for it. You can always add things like spinach, which is very high in iron if you want to. But all of the veggies, the flax and chia seeds, I mean, there's a lot of iron in this diet. So it shouldn't be an issue. But yeah, without seeing the numbers, I can't tell you how significant it is. If it is very significant, you should take an iron supplement because you need iron for your blood supply. But without knowing your numbers and everything, I can't tell you if that's the situation that you're in.
I think she said her ferritin was 8.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know where you started.
Right.
And I don't know if you're anemic, so that is a low ferritin. But are you actually anemic? What are your numbers? What's your MCV look like? There's just so many different things. You can't use one number to diagnose someone. You have to look at everything together. So ask your doctor about that and see if there's anything else that makes sense for you. If you need to take iron, just take it. I know it sucks. It causes constipation and things, but you need iron for your blood supply. And if you're continuing to have issues like that, then maybe reach out to me so we can set something up where I can actually examine what your data looks like and what you're doing and see if there's anything else I can tell you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so
it shouldn't cause it though. Yeah.
This is from Eileen, and part of it's testimonial, and then it's a question. But she says, Da, 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 da. I am currently hyper-nourishing on a pound of cruciferous vegetables, chia seeds, and 3.5 to 4 liters of water, and also adding in the iodine as Dr. Goldner recommended in a Q&A. In the first 2 to 3 weeks, I noticed that the pain in my low back from arthritis had disappeared. My right knee that had been injured numerous times will allow me to add in lunges into my weight routine, as previously it was painful. The brain fog lifted from the trauma and stress of the treatment. I have more energy and I'm sleeping better. A big, big thank you to Dr. Goldner for all she does. So that's just in 2 to 3 weeks doing on her own. But she has a question because
Awesome.
she had radiation in January, February of this year for invasive vaginal vulvar squamous cell carcinoma, 35 treatments in total, and 2 months ago was diagnosed by a biopsy with lichen sclerosis. It's a mild case in the area where most radiation was focused towards the end of the treatment where the tumor had been. And she's been told she's cancer-free. She's wondering if your protocol has helped anyone with this issue, as she did not have lichen sclerosis before.
Yes, actually it has. So first of all, congratulations on all of your wins and being cancer free. That's a really big deal. And I'm glad that my protocols helped you get there. Yes, we have had other people with lichen sclerosis improve and have their symptoms go away. So I really do think it's the best thing you can do. One, to finish your recovery, maybe even dive fully into the protocol. So not just hyper nourishing, but go full into the Goodbye Lupus protocol. Get yourself to a place where you're as healthy as you can get. See if you can get those symptoms to go away before it spreads.
Fantastic. Oh gosh, these people, sometimes you have to like read this just to find the
To
questions.
find the question,
Yeah.
yeah, I
So
know.
I'm going to ask this one. This is not about, this is about, it looks like it's from a doctor. And Mark says, if a medical professional like an MD or RN has decided they no longer want to practice traditional medicine, how can they transition to treating lifestyle medicine in their field of practice?
Um, so I think you start with actually using it in your practice. I started using it while I was doing my traditional medical checkups. I would bring more and more attention to people's diets and lifestyle. You can start teaching your community. So if you already have a practice, it'd be a great thing for you to start advertising maybe to your clinic or at your hospital that you're doing some public teaching about this. And then if you're doing that, that's a great way to then start getting folks to want to meet with you and learn from you. I know for me, before I said that I could help people with disease reversal and lifestyle medicine, I wanted to have results to prove that I could do it and that it wasn't just something that happened to me by accident. And a lot of times, back when I did this, I didn't even know about lifestyle medicine. I did this before that was named lifestyle medicine. It existed before then. But I've met some folks who have just, read the books or taken the tests, and then they just like start teaching it as if they've had experience in it. And I find that to be misleading. So what I like to do personally, the way I became known and the reason why I have a lot of trust from people is I only speak to results. So I actually help people for free, reversing diseases using nutrition until I proved it was reproducible in every person before I then released the protocol and then started coaching people. So I think when you can have results, then you have somewhere to stand in terms of saying, I can help you do this, because it's not, there are some people where you could just say, here, read this book, or just, follow these recipes and you'll be fine. And then there'll be people where you can. A lot of the folks who come to me are folks who, were told to be plant-based. They've tried it. They can't get it done. They can't make it work. And I've been doing this for so long. I know how to troubleshoot and find the issues and help them all get to that place. So I would start by adding it to what you already do, start getting results. Even if it's not helping people for free the way I did it, do it within your sessions and say, hey, you have high blood pressure. Let's try this nutrition, see if we can bring it down. Hey, you have this issue with your thyroid. Let's see what we can do. And then start tracking those results. And then you'll be able to have the experience you need to actually have a lifestyle medicine practice where you can tell people in full integrity, this is what I do. Here's how I've helped people. That's how I recommend it.
That's great. Thank you. Laura would like to know, is it possible to can you be in remission from lupus because of this healthy lifestyle, but still have some lingering symptoms?
Sure. So it's not always possible for every person to have what I call the factory reset, where you're just like newborn baby. I'm almost 48 years old. I am not, a newborn baby. It's very normal for people to have little issues here and there and still be a healthy person, right? So, like, I don't have lupus, I don't have blood clots, I don't have any health issues, but I do get aches and pains sometimes. They're just not lupus. I had scoliosis since I was a kid, so it affects my muscles. So if I do too much shoulder workouts, this muscle starts to ache, and that can give me a headache. Is it inflammatory? No. Is it lupus? No. It's just knowing my body. I'm not like, I have to get that massage back into place and then everything's fine. So sometimes people will really get worried that unless I feel no pain or issue anywhere in my body, I'm a sick person. No, you're just a big bag of cells. And sometimes cells get damaged and sometimes cells get aggravated, and we just have to figure out what to do. So if you know you're lupus free, where your labs are negative, you don't have that inflammatory arthritis, you don't have pericarditis, you don't have pleuritis, you don't have kidney issues, labs, everything looks good, but you have the occasional ache or pain or something, that's usually structural. So a lot of times we can diagnose what's not inflammatory in people by the end of my rapid recovery group, because I've had folks where they're like, oh, my labs are negative and it looks like I don't have lupus or rheumatoid arthritis anymore, but my knee still hurts, something's wrong. And I go, nope, you've done this perfectly. That's not rheumatoid. Your quads are too tight. And we teach them how to foam roll out their quads, boom, knee pain gone. So structural issues can sometimes cause lingering aches and pains, where we just need to worry, like with me, like massage it out, fix it, okay, back into shape the way you need to be. So yeah, when you have lupus, it's usually a combination of the symptoms and the labs. So if you have anything lingering, I'd be looking at what's every possibility that could cause that symptom besides lupus, besides inflammatory issues. And oftentimes we can find a way to solve it.
Great. The person that asked about the raw, she didn't feel her best. She wrote that she lives in she feels very cold when she eats raw. She can't warm up. She has low energy and she's bloated. Those were the 3 reasons.
Okay. Bloated will take time to get better. I mean, you can try probiotics and things. You can try meal spacing every 2 hours. Being cold, you just have to have alternatives. Look at AJ. See, like I just did an Instagram on this here. I'll show it. It was a little reel that I made because I get this question a lot. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna share it and see. Since I got sharing capability, I'm gonna take advantage of it today. You unleashed me, AJ. So, all right, let me see. Let me find it. Oh, here we go. Let's see.
It's not showing. It's not showing.
You don't see it?
Nope. The share screen's not working.
All right, let's try one more time. You can hear the music of it. Let's try one more time. Now?
Maybe it's working now. Yeah, I think it looks like it's working now.
You see it? It says your nutritional needs do not change with the weather. So see, I put on a coat and my scarf and I picked up my smoothie. So one of the things is your nutritional needs do not change with the weather. If you are cold, there's ways to warm up that do not involve changing your diet, right? So put on the hat, put on the scarf, sit in front of the fire, put on the heat, and then eat the food. The second is it doesn't have to be cold for it to be raw. So smoothies do need to be blended cold, because otherwise, if you're heating it up, you're ruining it. But you don't have to do smoothies. Fruits and vegetables do not need to be in the refrigerator most of the time. They can be set out and they can get to room temperature. So I would do that, focus on eating the foods more at room temperature, and then use other things to warm up internally, like take your water and warm it up and then add some lemon to it and have hot lemon water or herbal tea. And that way you can warm up your insides with your tea or your lemon water and then eat the foods that your body needs to recover. So it's always about problem solving around the issue to make sure that the nutrition stays optimal, rather than backing off of optimal nutrition to make everything else feel more comfortable. Hopefully that makes sense and helps.
Dr. Melissa Sunderman, who's been on the show, says there's no such thing as bad weather, just inappropriate clothing. I have my own take on that sentence. There's no such thing as bad days, just inappropriate thinking.
Well, I don't know. There's definitely some days I would say are bad. But lives generally can be good, and that depends on our thinking. But yeah, We all have preferences for weather. AJ and I were talking about that before this started, right? Like, I like hot and humid. That is my favorite thing. And most people go, ew, no, it feels fabulous. But we all have our preferences for weather. We have preferences for food. But it's about, what do you need and what are your goals? And if your goal is to reverse disease and optimize immune function, eat the raw foods and then problem solve around how to get warm, rather than eat warm foods and then keep yourself from getting optimal nourishment and recovery.
Right. Robin wants to know, can I lose weight doing your protocol? I need to lose about 100 pounds.
Yeah, that is a given, really. So my original protocol, if you read Goodbye Lupus or you go watch my free classes, I discuss it, all came from a protocol that was designed so I could lose weight for my wedding. So my husband's got his own best-selling book, Miracle Metabolism. And so his research was originally on what is the optimal nutrition to give everyone a fast metabolism so everybody can get really fit. And he adjusted that for me, and I lost the weight and I lost the lupus too, which was a much heavier weight to carry. But most folks who are overweight find that they rapidly can lose it, and it's safe. And because you're nourished, a lot of times when people are losing weight rapidly, they're starving themselves, they're harming themselves, but they're nourished, they're energetic, they're full, and fat loss is maximized. Now, you need exercise to stimulate fat loss. I know everyone wants to just lose weight from eating, but that's not the way to do it. Keep yourself full on the nourishment and then use exercise to take the weight off. If you're 100 pounds overweight, walking alone is going to be exercise for you. And then when you find that your weight plateaus, then you increase how far or how fast you walk. And then when walking doesn't work, then you start adding more things in, like weight training and other things. So you could always try my husband's book, Miracle Metabolism, where he shows you how to combine the nutrition we use for both fat loss and disease reversal with the optimal exercises to promote fat loss. And when you put those things together, you get all those results that you want.
Nice. Debbie wants to know, will your protocol help lower toxic levels of both lead and mercury?
So I don't know, because I've never measured people's levels of lead and mercury before and after recovery. We've had people who have had different types of toxicities and heavy metals who told me that they got better, but I have personally not measured people and said, here's how it goes. So you have to remove the source, right? And then allow your body to remove all those toxins. But I don't know from experience where I could tell you, yes, here's how it goes and what happened. And so I have to say, I don't know.
I think this question from Holly, how does hypernourishment help with trauma? I think you're doing other things other than just the hypernourishment.
Yes, well, I call it hypernourishment for the soul. So there's different aspects here, right? The hypernourishment protocol is about the nutrition that optimizes cellular repair, but also neuronal functioning and brain function. So a lot of people tell me, I thought I had early dementia, I had brain fog, I couldn't think clearly. I told someone recently in my group that she was doing math better, and I said, I didn't know this could make math easier. So now I'm going to say that, but it's just their mind clears up. And also, whatever you're feeding your body, you're feeding your brain as well. So it affects moods when people eat the wrong foods and when they eat the right foods. So it does affect your mood to eat better, for sure. But when I'm helping people overcome trauma, we're not just working on nutrition. I'm looking at all the different aspects of how they talk to themselves, whether or not helping people work through forgiveness, which is difficult for people, but necessary for overcoming health problems and having a good life, helping people through self-sabotage, helping them through the habits that keep them depressed and keep them anxious, and developing the habits that will bring them happiness and peace. So it is a daily experience, especially in rapid recovery, where yes, we're working on your food, but after the first 2 weeks, they know what they're doing with the food. And the rest of it is working every day to transform everything else about the way they live, so their whole lifestyle becomes anti-inflammatory and healing, including the way they think and process emotions, not just the nutrition alone. And that's what really creates that transformation, right? Because if you don't fix the emotional part, that usually is contributing to eating the wrong things and to staying sick. And so we really want people to have that full transformation, and that's something that that I have the ability to help people with. I always say they have to download that. If by the end of the group they hear my voice in their head, download complete. And that's what they tell me. They hear me when they're getting low or getting down. They hear my voice saying the antidote to that and what they need to do for their self-care and turning it around into something more positive. And that's a shift that takes daily work too, because that's also a habit. In the beginning of this episode, Chef and I were talking about how resolutions can't be made once, that you need to create a new habit. And your habits are not just how you eat, but how you think, how you look at the world, how you process your emotions, all of that.
Well, Dr. Goldner, this has been fantastic. And there are a lot more questions, but then people can tune in on Wednesday to ask them.
Yes, absolutely. So let's see, Wednesday, I think is Christmas, but I think I'm planning to just hop on. I'm actually Fox News National News wants to have me on Wednesday to talk about actually heart health, because it's peak of heart attack season. So I'm pretty excited to be doing that. And so I'll probably then also pop in for Wednesday for a bit and answer questions. But I'm always on Wednesdays at 12:30 Pacific to answer people's questions, and it's my public service. But in addition to that, go to the free classes. You can watch them like on repeat, download those into your brain. You can't download them off the internet, because that wouldn't be right. But, get the information and start putting it into practice. And that way, when you show up on Wellness Wednesday, your question is going to be really targeted to the issues you're having with putting that into practice in your life, rather than more general questions about what to do.
Well, thank you so much for all you do.
Oh, you're so welcome. I hope everybody has a good holiday season, whatever you celebrate. It's all happening at the same time this season.
Take care. Have a really wonderful holiday, Dr. Goldner.
Thank you, you too, and Happy New Year, everybody. Good resolutions. It's the year of great health, right?
Absolutely. And speaking of resolutions, Dr. Doug Lyle will be on New Year's Eve at 11 a.m. Pacific time to talk about just that.
Perfect.